So we're going to get started. Folks might drift in as we continue along, but want to get started on this now on voice first, barrier free, rethinking digital forms. And what we're going to talk about and give you a little bit of an insight into some stuff that we've been doing around adding voice and conversational capabilities to forms. And we really want to change the way that organizations are thinking about what they've done in digital forms because things are changing now and users are expecting a completely different kind of experience and environment. But also, you're experiencing organizational pressures, the need to be more productive, to do more with less. And so, how can we add value to the existing functionality that you have inside your forms architecture? How can we extend that, addressing productivity in the organization and addressing the user experience outside it? And voice is one of the ways that we can do that. Want to let you know this is being recorded. It will be posted on YouTube. So you will receive, if you've signed up for it, you will receive a email with the link associated with it. You are welcome to share that out. If you are uncomfortable being on a recorded session, please drop now. You'll still get the recording afterwards and you'll be able to view it. No problem whatsoever. And we encourage you to share this inside the organization with other folks that maybe didn't register who you think it might be applicable to. And we'll talk about that at the end and how we can assist you. First, give you a little bit of introduction, and I know many of you that are on the webinar today, but my name is Eric Stevens. I'm the Vice President of Strategic Engagement here with 4Point. Been with 4Point for 7 years. And I am one of the founding architects of digital forms. For those of you that know, JetForm was acquired by Adobe. That gave us the AEM Forms environment. But even before that, I was acquired from a company called Delrina, where I built the original, what was called Perform and FormFlow product sets that evolved into XFA and evolved into Acrobat Forms and fillable reader forms. So I have a long history in this kind of a marketplace and in associated marketplaces: record management, document management, databases, business process reengineering, all of those. I have 3 wonderful dogs, Bella, Piper, and Buddy, and I love to cook. Helping me today is one of our folks from 4Point, that is Josh Moffat. I'm going to ask Josh to introduce himself. Josh?
Thanks, Eric. So I've been with 4Point for 3 years now. I was the architect behind 4Point's AI products, which one of them we're going to be showing you today. Extensive experience in the AEM forms and advanced technologies industry. I love reading about history, and I'm a huge Habs fan, so sorry to any Leafs fans out there.
We do hold that against him. Yes. All right. Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Ask your questions in the chat as we go through the presentation. Please put your questions into the chat panel. You can see that link up at the top. It'll open a panel. You can add different questions in there, and I'll be taking questions at the end. So we've set aside time for me to go through that and answer any of your questions. I will tell you right now that some of the things that we're going to show you are not released. They are in an advanced state. And so some of the questions that you might have related to that, we're not going to answer in this session, but we'll talk about how you can get that information. So what are we going to talk about? We want to talk about what the challenges are today. We're going to talk about how you can add voice and what makes sense in that context. Then we're going to show you a demonstration of what we've been building, a sneak peek, if you will, to what we've been building, and talk about AI and forms and how we can link all of these pieces together. And then, as I said, I'll be taking questions. Please post them in the chat, and that will be the end of that. So let's get started on it. And the way I want to talk about it is the challenges that you face today with the forms is that your forms, regardless of how you're doing them, whether it's, acrofill forms, whether it's designer forms that are being used as downloads, whether it's HTML, whether it's custom built applications, it doesn't matter how it is. They're all linked to typing. And in a lot of the cases, and some of you have heard me say this before, a lot of them are bound by the concept of a piece of paper. They're bound by an 8.5 by 11 border, because that's the way that the form looks when we put it on paper. And we've just translated that into a way for people to see it. And in a lot of cases, we're using that as the context to grab the information and the context to explain it to the user, all of those different kinds of things. But the challenge with that is that various groups within our society have challenges associated with filling that out. Now, many of you have worked to make your forms accessible, your websites accessible, you've complied with WCAG, you've done all of those things. That still doesn't make it easy for people to do that. And so our example here is Maria, a visually impaired individual, all right, and looking for housing assistance online. The forms are long, complex, and typing intensive, with a lot of information that needs to be gathered and dealt with. So even an accessible form or an online HTML form, that's still a challenge to try to fill out. And the reason that that's a challenge is because the form wasn't designed for that. The form was designed as an 8.5 by 11 document that's going to be produced. I know I've looked at organizations' forms. We look at organizations' forms all the time. And some organizations have moved better and gotten their paper-oriented forms, their fillable-oriented forms, gotten them better. They've laid them out better. They've used better fonts. It's simple that way. They've laid them out in a better structure so that they flow. Others have not. All right. I've seen some forms that still have that. If you check this button, you fill out sections A, B, and G. If you check this buttons, do not fill out section A and B, fill out C and D and G, and those kinds of scenarios. Those are incredibly complicated for anyone to fill out, let alone someone that's suffering from a visual impairment or some other kind of disability. Screen readers are good, but often struggle with unlabeled fields or with navigation, with clicking all over it. And some forms just don't work in screen readers at all. We have examples when we've done accessibility presentations where you open it up in Reader, it's an image. Screen reader can't do anything with that. It can convert it all to OCR and it can read the whole thing to you as if it was a Word document. That doesn't help you fill it out. And these are challenges from an accessibility perspective, but they're challenges also from a user experience perspective. So Maria is going to spend hours trying to complete the form, submitting it with errors. So now you're dealing with those errors coming in. Now you have to have individuals that review it after you scanned it, and then tried to OCR it, and someone's going, that makes no sense in this field. This is wrong information. This can't be right because it contradicts this. So now you have a productivity problem of ensuring that that data was accurate and ensuring that the data flows into the system that you're dealing with. So this challenge of dealing with complicated forms and complicated sets of information. The other thing from Maria's perspective is she may have asked somebody else to give her a hand with it. So now they pull out the form, they can read it, and it turns out that there's all sorts of help information that was in the first 6 pages. I'm looking at government forms that often have a lot of valuable information. But the screen reader skipped to the first field so that it didn't have that information. So now she has to get someone else to help her. So there's a lot of context that ends up being missing. So that's the challenge that she's got. Let's look at some other challenges. So now let's talk about an individual who's working in the field. They're a inspector. They're going and they're looking at different pieces of equipment. And one of the things that they have to do with that is they have to then enter information into a form probably on a tablet, maybe in paper, but they have to enter that information about what's happening in the field, perhaps for a replacement of a piece of equipment associated with repairs that have to be done, notes for future inspections, all of these different kinds of things that have to occur. Well, that individual is now having to stop whatever they're doing to pull out the mobile device to enter it. Well, what if they're having to wear protective gear, whether it's just gloves because it's cold weather, or whether they're doing, we were talking to some individuals who do tank inspections. And some of the tanks that they go into are, volatile chemicals. They're in full hazmat gear. How are they going to then fill out? Well, they have to come out of it, okay, take off the gear, fill out that information. They have to remember all of the pieces associated with it. How are they managing all of those different pieces? So there's a series of areas where there's challenges associated with that, right? So then it's difficult. That means submissions might be delayed, might be more errors. We still have the same problem of, hold on, did we get all of the information that we need associated with it? Now, in this case, it's more likely that individual has a lot of experience with the form. They have a lot of understanding of what's going on. So they're going to get better data associated with it, but we still have a challenge associated with dealing with it. So these are a couple of examples, and you can think of some others where different individuals are going to be challenged with it. Maybe in your organization, it's how do I get a call center so that they can be more productive, and maybe I can use a mechanism to fill out a form over the phone with someone. Maybe there are circumstances where you have different constituents inside your sphere of influence, and they need a deeper level of assistance associated with it. So what if voice was an option in these cases? What would that scenario look like if, instead of having to bind themselves to an 8.5 by 11 form and typing into it, what if they could use voice? So now forms can listen and respond. The form can listen to the individual and can guide them through the process. The AI that's conducting that conversation uses natural language, and you've experienced this if you've used any AI-based to ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, any of those. If you've had that conversation, then you're typing. If you're using things like Siri or Google Assistant, then you're getting those same kinds of experiences where you're talking to something and getting a voice response to it. And sometimes then text and links and all of those kinds of things. So what if we could do that with your forms, where we take those forms and use it so that now the conversation is happening. Here's the fields that I need. Here's what I need from you. The person can now respond to it, and they get confirmation. They can ask about context associated with it. So all of that help text information, those 2 pages of instructions that you attach to the form, now that becomes context, so that you can ask, what are the things that I need to include to go along with this form? Oh, you're going to need a piece of government ID with a photo on it when you bring this in. Oh, that's good to know. Now I know that. Now we're increasing the accuracy, because what we're going to do is create a conversation that understands the form needs and the user's desires, and couple these things together so that now when the person fills out that form, the required fields are required, and the document that is produced is compliant. The document is the document that you need, the document you want for your purposes to process inside your organization, right? And we want to bring all of those pieces together. So now Maria can now have a conversation on a computer, on a mobile device, on a watch, and can conduct a conversation to get the document filled out, which she can then review and say, yes, this is the document I want to send out. She can print it, sign it, bring it to wherever it needs to be brought to, physically mail it in, email it in, whatever your process is for handling that document, it can be dealt with. What about the field technician we talked about? Well, now we can embed that into a headset, into a augmented reality glasses, so that now as they're wandering around, not only are they being able to get information about a piece of equipment that they're looking at, but now their glasses become the vehicle for them to fill out the form. Now they have a conversation where it says, hey, I know what you're looking at. I'll put that equipment in there. What now? I will ask you only the things that I need to fill that out. What part needs to be replaced? Oh, that part needs to be replaced. How urgent is the replacement? What's it? Guides them through the process to ensure that they cover all of the pieces associated with it, and they don't have to change out of their gear, stop and go check something else, or go get someone else to enter it in. They don't have to do that. They have an assistant that is going through that process with them. That's going to save them time. It's going to improve accuracy. It's going to reduce the friction that needs to be dealt with on an ongoing basis. And if we're talking about an augmented reality scenario, we can even show them the form. Here it is filled out. Is it all good? Yep, it's all good. Send it out. Again, all within the confines of their environment suit that they're wearing, whatever clothing they're wearing, whatever they need to do. But even if it's just on a mobile device, even if it's a more simple inspection and they don't have complexities, but it's cold out, then they can do it again on a watch, on a mobile device, talking to the device to get that information filled out. One of the things that organizations have looked at as voice-enabled capabilities in general is that voice-enabled capabilities can boost completion rates by up to 40%, because I don't have to stop. I don't have to step away. I don't have to go and figure things out. I don't have to go and reread the instructions. I'm guided through the process. And that's going to save users time. But this has a lot of other benefits associated with it. The other benefits are things like higher completion rates, time savings for that individual. It is a much more inclusive and accessible design. This is going well beyond what WCAG mandates for websites and for forms and for documents. This is a brand new level of capabilities that give the user an accessible environment. Now, we talked about it in Maria's case, in that example, that she was visually impaired, but hold on, I'm a busy individual. I fill out forms. So why shouldn't I be able to have a conversation with my phone while I'm doing something else, while I'm cooking, so that I can fill out a form while I'm on hold, while I'm cooking, to get that moving forward? That is accessibility that empowers everyone. Improved accuracy and reduced errors, because it's a guided process. So we're guiding them through the completion process and ensuring that it matches the rules that you've established for that form, so that required fields are required. They can't be bypassed. That means you get all the data. That means the data is more effective for it. That reduces your operational burden. You're not having to go back and forth correcting errors, looping back with people, and all of those kinds of things, which are frustrating for the user, but they're also time-consuming and costly for you. That's going to save you money. It's also going to save you money because you can offer this connected to your portal environments. This is not a thing that is replacing what you do today. It is an addition. It is an augment to it. So now it's in your portals, which means you're offering that capability, which means that fewer people are coming to your call center and fewer people need to be manually addressed in these scenarios. It's all inside your organization. None of it comes outside your organization. This is one of the key visions and driving factors in what we're trying to develop, is that this is your relationship with your customer and is your customer's data. You need to have 100% control of it. So you are in total control of that. It's scalable, right? We want it to be able to be used across internally, potentially, and out to different users quickly, effectively, with no need for any customizations or specialty requirements. It just needs to work with the forms you have today. So with all of that preamble, what I want to do is pass it over to Josh, who is going to take control of the screen now. And remember to turn on voice, Josh, and give you a demonstration.
Thanks, Eric. Okay. So for the demo, I'm going to fill out this RESP beneficiary designation form, and I'll be completing it in both English and French.
To complete this form, you'll need to provide RESP account number if available, details for subscriber and, if applicable, co-subscriber, names and social insurance numbers, information for each beneficiary, names, SINCENS, date of birth, address, relationship, gender, parent or guardian contact, and if grants should be requested. Indicate if all beneficiaries are siblings. Signature and date for subscriber, and code to subscriber, if any. Would you like to start with the subscriber details?
Yes, my family RESP number is 272853.
Thanks. Now, can you tell me the subscriber's first and last name?
Oui, je m'appelle Josh Moffat et mon numéro d'assurance sociale est 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Merci, Josh. Do you have a co-subscriber on this plan? If yes, please provide their first and last name. If no, just say no.
No co-subscriber.
Got it. Now let's add your first beneficiary. What is their first and last name?
So the beneficiary name is John Smith. Social insurance number is 987654321. Born August 1st, 1989. Address is 232 Rideau Street, Ottawa, Ontario. He is my uncle. His parents' name is Eric Stevens, and his gender is male.
Thank you. Would you like the plan trustee to request grants for John Smith on your behalf? Please say yes or no.
No, I would not.
Thank you. Would you like to add a second beneficiary or continue with the rest of the form?
No, let's just stick with the one.
Almost done. Are all beneficiaries listed, including John Smith, brothers and sisters? Please answer yes or no.
No, they're not.
Thank you. Now please provide today's date for your signature and confirm that you'll be signing as the subscriber.
Yeah, today's date is September 25th, 2025, and you can just use my name for the signature.
Here's a quick summary of what you've provided. RESP account 272853. Subscriber Josh Moffat, SIN 123456789. No co-subscriber. Beneficiary John Smith, SIN 98764321. Born August 1st, 1989. Address 232 Rideau Street, Ottawa, Ontario. Relationship, uncle. Parent, Eric Stevens. Male, grants not requested. Beneficiaries are not siblings. Date and signature, September 25th, 2025. Signed by subscriber. Would you like to create the PDF now or make changes? Generating PDF. Preview. Here's your completed form.
So you can see it captured the information we gave it, generated the PDF with the data, and from here you can take the form data or this filled out PDF and connect it to any submit workflow to completely automate the entire document process. Great. So back to you, Eric.
Thank you, Josh. That was excellent. Back to this. So what you saw there was a demonstration of capabilities that we are in the process of developing right now. It is planned on being available later this year. And what this is doing is it's using the forms that you're familiar with today and using that to guide the AI so that the AI knows what questions to ask, what to do, and then it's generating the PDF as you need it based on the templates that you have provided. And that's what that did in this case. So many of you are going to have other questions associated with this. We understand that, and we're not covering all of the details associated with it. So a couple of things. We will be announcing this later in October. There'll be another webinar where we'll have a lot of details. But for those of you who are interested in more details now and want to understand how it would fit in your organizations, we're offering a one-on-one demonstration of this where we'll pull it apart for you, show you where we are, talk about what we're doing, talk about our plans, talk about how it could fit into your organization, what's required for it, all of those things, and how this could benefit in different areas and benefit you and your customers. If you are at all interested in that, please contact us at marketing@4point.com. You can contact me directly. You can contact your sales rep directly. We're happy to go through and cover this in more detail specific to your organization and what you're actually looking for and how this would apply to you. With that, that is all we wanted to cover. And now what I'd like to do is have a look-see in terms of questions. Okay. So one of the questions is, do I see this as replacing paper and electronic forms? Is it replacing fillable PDFs? And that is an interesting thought. And the answer that we have, the vision we have, is no. This is an additional option and an additional way that we would add to it. There are certainly times when individuals need a piece of paper associated with it where they need a blank copy printed because they have to fill it out by hand. And so if that fits into the user model that you have and that's something that you're offering, we're not taking that away. Are we taking away the ways that you do forms today as downloadable reader ones, as acrofill or as HTML, or are we taking any of that away? No. What we see is this is an add-on, an option that you can include that gives people who want to use this mechanism as an alternative. But if somebody's comfortable with the form and they want to fill it out in an HTML and that's what they want to do, then they can absolutely do that. So we don't see it as replacing that. Now, we do see it as part of a digital form strategy that reduces the need to produce paper. One of the challenges we see in a lot of organizations is because they're using reader-based fillable forms, downloading it and forcing people to print them, to physically sign them and send them in because they don't have the infrastructure to handle an automation. This links into automation. This is a server that is handling the data. So as Josh mentioned, we can tie it to workflows. At a simplest level, you could tie this to a digital signature process. Instead of downloading that form right then and there, we could say, we've sent you an email to the email on file for your digital signature. And now we've reduced the need to print those documents. So we see this as an option, as an additional capability that we can support around those kinds of things. So yes, our vision is you can start other workflows. Someone asked, can we start other workflows or integrate with other systems? Yes, we see absolutely that is part of the vision. That our vision is that's not something that we're going to build immediately. that is a custom scenario, because each organization has custom workflows and custom processes that they want to use. But if you're already doing HTML forms that feed into a workflow, this can do the same piece. This could push the same documents the same way the HTML form pushes the documents or pushes the data. So there's a lot of different options that are capable around there. All right. Questions about security and privacy. So our vision for this is that this is using your AI licenses and your infrastructure. There is nothing on 4-point. There is no 4-point special LLM that's handling this. This is going to use the products, the AI products that you're already approving in your organization. And it's going to work with your infrastructure so that you have complete control over the security and privacy associated with it. So one of the questions is, can we use this to fill dynamic XFA PDF forms? And so that is part of our vision. And it is not something that's going to be done in the first phase, but it is absolutely part of our vision to support that kind of fillable PDFs, because we want this to be as broad as possible. There are challenges associated with those because they don't necessarily have all the information that you want to use as part of a guidance, part of an instruction, part of a conversation. So there are challenges associated with that, but it is absolutely part of our vision. And I would encourage you to reach out so that we could do a one-on-one conversation and we can share that plan and that vision with you so you get a better sense of where that is. All right. Oh, there's a question in chat. Can the data provided by the user be saved to a database as well? That is also part of our vision, either via a workflow, which is probably where we would do that kind of a thing. But yes, that is, the data is there now because we used it when we made the PDF generated. The data was from the AI conversation was merged into the template to generate that flat static PDF with the information in it. So now we've got the data. Now we can do things with the data that we couldn't do before. I think that's all the questions. If you do, what validation checks does it apply? It does the validation checks that you've defined in the form, all of them. That's what it's doing. So it knows that that field is required. It knows that if you said this, that you had to answer that field over there because those two are connected. It knows those kinds of things. So that's how it's managing the data going into it. In addition, when it puts the data into the template, it is using all of the structure and display rules that you defined in the template, so that it's grabbing a telephone number and you said, I want brackets around it, spaces, and a dash. It uses that layout. It's all part of what's being handled inside of the template. So that is, again, part of our vision is that we're using the instructions that you're providing as part of the form that you're giving it. So thank you all very much. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. As I said, we're tremendously excited by this, and we are more than delighted to get on one-on-one calls where we can dive into this in more detail. You can ask more questions and we can share our plan with you and share the vision that we have associated with this and talk about how it could apply to the forms in your organization. Thank you so much. Everyone have a good day.